every time somebody went down, the guys came together. And they got stronger. It's crazy. Right. And then you began to see it on the field. And even the guys who didn't believe started to believe.
Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Cruisin with Zach. Today our special guest is the pastor of the Family Church in Voorhees and also the chaplain of your Philadelphia
Come on now,
Eagles.
if y'all can see that.
They can see that.
That's the Super Bowl ring.
They can see that from a mile away. He is the chaplain of the Philadelphia Eagles, Pastor Ted Winsley. Pastor, thanks so much for being on the show.
Oh man, that's cool rolling with Zach.
All right, first question, is it true you ran a 4.45 40 in
I ran
high
a
school?
4.43 40.
Who's counting?
Yeah, not me.
4.43. That's pretty impressive. What happened?
Going into my junior year, I fractured my vertebra, and that was basically it.
That was it. That's all she wrote.
That was all she wrote. I came back my senior year, and I just wasn't the same person, and that kind of dashed all my hopes, and that was it.
Now, did you have NFL aspirations?
Of course, everybody does.
Not me.
Yep, I had NFL aspirations, and again, I had some people were looking at me, and they saw the I was fast, and I was doing pretty well, and like I said, once I got injured, everything changed, and that was it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I used to be the guy that would dedicate touchdowns to girls and not go to all my classes because I'm going D1 and after football shifted, I had to shift.
Right. Well, speaking of shift, before you were a pastor, you actually worked at FUBU.
I did.
How was Daymond John? How was he in real life?
Daymond was incredibly cool. I think Daymond and I are probably a couple years apart, if any. One of the guys, he's an incredible business person. Has an incredible business IQ, and I had an amazing time for them. I was national sales manager over neckwear and dress shirts.
Okay. And then what? After that, you just transitioned to becoming a pastor?
I graduated. I got an academic scholarship to Delaware State. What's up? Come on, y'all. To Delaware State College, and I started off in sales. Went to human resources.
Okay.
For probably a good 7-8 years, and then went from HR into probably more like 5 or 6. Went from HR into corporate sales, where I worked for FUBU. And at the age of 30, my pastor here, used to be my pastor, he passed away, Pastor Lamont McLean, he actually asked me to come full time. And and it was, I was making 6 figures, about $115,000 a year. And I said no at first when I found out that full-time ministry doesn't make any money, and then I quickly found out that it doesn't matter when you're called.
That's right.
So I told him no, and he told me to go back to New York for 6 more months, and at the end of the 6 months, I was begging to have $40,000, and the very first thing, because God's amazing, the very first thing that happened was Troy Vincent. I don't know if you know who Troy Vincent is.
Yeah, of course.
Troy Vincent, actually, my job when I went full-time in ministry is a pretty large-sized church. I was over media, broadcasting, publication, and so our church was on television, was on cable TV. Troy Vincent saw my pastor. Reached out to my pastor, asked my pastor to do Bible studies and kind of like be the chaplain. Yeah. And I was the one that carried his Bibles and carried the books and set up the microphone and let him make fun of me. And probably after about a year and a half, he just looked at me and said, I'm not supposed to be doing this, you are. Yeah.
So 18 years at the helm. Have you ever been around a group of guys like the Eagles now that have been so open, so committed to their religious beliefs?
Well, here's what people don't realize. And if you talk to Nick will say it was in his book as well. People marvel over what happened the year we went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
This is really 18 years, 19, goes even back before me. There's a Christian culture on the team.
Mm-hmm.
It started with Reggie White. And I literally, from my position that I've had as the chaplain, after Reggie, I wasn't there when he left, but I, from my eyeballs, saw the chain of power go from one player to another. So there's always been a strong Christian leader on the team. And since I've been there, when I was there when we first started, we averaged 25 players in Bible study.
Wow.
Out of a 53-man roster.
That's like half the guys.
Yeah.
More than half the guys.
So the difference is, if I named you the names of the guys back in those days, you'd say he was in church. So as to whereas now, so it was always a Christian base. There was always a strong leader, like I said, from Troy Vincent to
Brian Dawkins.
From Brian Dawkins to Jason Avant, from Jason Avant to Nick Foles. Actually, after Nick Foles left, there was a short stint where, believe it or not, Mark Sanchez kind of took the helm. He began his walk with the Lord here in Philadelphia, and then after Mark Sanchez, it just blossomed from Trey Burton, Jordan Matthews, Chris Maragos, Zach Ertz, Brandon Graham.
The list goes on and
the
on.
list goes on, and then Carson came. After Nick left, and then Carson came as a strong believer in this culture. Mm-hmm. So to answer your question, there's always been like a strong base of believers on the team.
Right.
Now what's happening is now there's a culture. So, when you got the head coach, and the head coach comes to Bible studies, head coach comes to chapel services like it's a church service, brings his family and his kids. So now when you've got the starting quarterback and just about every prime or leadership position where these are men of faith, and then the coach is as well, you have a culture.
December 2017.
Yep.
Week 14. Carson goes down. And people were lining up on the Ben Franklin Bridge.
Yeah.
They were about to, it's over.
Yeah.
All right. And then Carson comes out on Twitter and says, God has a plan.
Yeah.
And it's a perfect plan.
Yes, sir.
How did that resonate in not only the locker room, but in the franchise, in the front office? How did that resonate over in Philadelphia?
So I can't speak for the franchise or the front office. I can speak for the locker room.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So let's speak to that.
If you'll settle for that.
Yeah, I'll settle for that.
Okay. So believe it or not, again, we saw that God was up to something in 2016.
He's always up to something.
Yes. 2016 was when the players, and again, like I said, we've always had players coming, but in 2016, the guys started getting a hunger, and they started realizing that Jesus is more than just for me. And so the guys started to like, hey, how do we start evangelizing? How do we start doing good things in our community together? How do we take the Bible study and start to live it?
Okay.
And then that's when they said we want to get water baptized. So I did a 3-week series on it. And after it was over, this is the long version of answering your question.
You got all the time. We're on the White Horse Pike.
Let's
it goes
go.
Forever.
But after I did the teaching on water baptism, I said, hey, I'll reach out to Pastor Herb Lusk, who's the chaplain for the coaches, and I said I'll see if we can use his his baptismal. And Trey Burton is grabbing his towel and grabbing his stuff. Said, no, we're gonna do it here right now.
Okay.
And I'm following the guys. I'm like, whoa, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So we wound up going into the cold tub.
Not the hot tub.
Not the hot tub, the cold tub, and 5 players, the entire Bible study, sat on the deck and sang "Take Me to the Water."
Okay.
And I didn't know they knew the song, and 5 players got water baptized when we actually went in there for one. And so to answer your question, it started in 2016, and then when Nick Foles came back, we were like, oh, okay, because Nick was a strong leader on the team.
Right.
As you know, Nick is actually in seminary, and when Nick came back, we were like, okay, all right. So, Lord, I mean, and Nick was really instrumental and kind of helping the guys galvanize together. So Nick goes down, then Caleb Sturgis goes down, who was in the Bible study.
Right.
Then Maragos goes down, who was in the Bible study. Then Jordan Hicks goes down, who's in the Bible study. Prior to that, Jordan Matthews leaves. He gets traded, who is a strong cog. And so by the time that Carson went down, it actually wasn't panic. It was, yo, God's about to do something.
Okay.
Because what happened was every time somebody went down, the guys came together. And they got stronger. It's crazy. Right. And then you began to see it on the field. And even the guys who didn't believe started to believe.
That something greater
great was happening. And then the rest was history.
The rest was history.
Yeah.
Was it Trent Cole?
Okay. Was
that the calf story?
Oh no. That was Trey Burton.
Trey Burton.
And Michael Kendricks.
What happened there?
So this is 2016. This is during the time when the guys are really starting to commit and really get their hearts, want to live for God. So it was the beginning of the 2017 season, I believe.
Okay.
No, 2016.
Okay.
Beginning 2016 season. I don't know if you remember, the first game of that year was, for whatever reason, blistering hot. It was like
I remember that. Yeah.
Freakishly hot. Guys were falling out, convulsing on the field.
Right.
Cramping left and right. Trey Burton and Michael Kendricks both tore their calf muscle. And so first Trey goes down, and then Michael Kendricks goes down, and literally they're both sitting on the same table looking at each other. And I get a phone call from Trey, and Trey goes, "Hey, Pastor Ted, I think I tore my calf." And I said, "Okay." I said, "What you want to do?"
Okay.
Because it's funny, he called me like I was a trainer. That was the, okay. And I said, "What you want to do?" He said, "I want you to lay hands on me. I want you to pray." I said, "Do you want me to come to you?" No. I said, "Yes." So I said, "You want me to come to you?" I said, "As a matter of fact," because he lived in Deptford. I lived in Sicklerville.
Okay.
And I said, "I can drop by your house." And so he was like, "Please." So I get to his house, and it's funny, he had 2 kids at the time, and they were waiting for me at the door. Pastor Ted, open up the door, and Trey's he's in a boot. He's on crutches in a boot.
It's bad.
And I prayed for him, and the entire family, wife, 2 kids at the time, we all laid hands. I prayed, and I forgot about it, actually, to be honest with you. And I got a phone call like 2-3 days later from Michael Kendricks, who had my number. We talked on and off, but like we never talk. And I didn't know he had my number. So I pick up the phone, didn't recognize the number. I said, "Hello." He goes, "It works." I said,
"What works?
What are you talking about? Who's this?" And he said, "It's me. It's Mike. It's me, Mike." And I said, "Oh, what's up, Mike? How you doing?" And he said, "It works." And I said, "What works?" He said, "It works." And I said, "What are you talking about work?" Because I literally forgot.
Right.
I went on about my day. And he said, "Whatever you dedicated his body." And I said, "Whose body did I dedicate?" And he said, "You prayed for Trey." And he said, "Me and Trey had the same injury. We both tore our calves. And his was as bad as mine." And he said, and the next day he's up running around and he's playing. And he said, "I want you to do to me what you did to him. And I'm coming over." And he hung up. And he got my address from Trey.
Okay.
And 20 minutes to a half hour later, Michael Kendricks is knocking on my door. And we go down in the basement. A lot of the players that they're watching it used to be painted blue. And all of the players who...
blue.
Well, here's why. All of the players who went to the Pro Bowl, because back in the day, all the Pro Bowl jerseys were blue.
Right.
For the NFC.
Yeah.
I would put their jerseys up.
Okay.
So all the players that went to the Bible study that became Pro Bowlers, it started with Ike Reese.
Okay.
Guys that you wouldn't think, you saw God move. Anyway, so we go down to the blue room, and Mike just starts saying, "Hey, I want you to do to me what you." I said, "Well, you gotta understand, I didn't do it."
Yeah, it's on parlor tricks. Yeah.
I said, "I'm not magic." I said, It was Trey's faith. And I said, whether you realize it or not, you didn't come here for something natural. You came here for something spiritual. I said, and guess what? And God might not heal you, because that's not what it's about. It's about your heart. And we were down there for 3 hours, and he rededicated his life to Christ, and he accepted the Lord into his heart and didn't get healed. But his heart did.
Yeah,
and then,
well, he got healed.
He did. And of course, that's why the number grew for water baptism, because I think Jordan Hicks and Camus too were the only ones that were supposed to get water baptized. And next thing I look up with his clothes on, here comes Michael Kendricks. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Because he saw that God was real.
Well, something unique to Cruisin' with Zach.
Yeah.
It's called the lightning round.
All right, let's go.
All right. I spit a couple questions at you. Answer them as quickly as you can.
Done.
All right. If you were in a food eating contest and you can eat one food and win, what would you eat?
Cheesesteak.
Oh, I think that's pretty heavy. Where would you get it? Where would you get the cheesesteak?
Pat's.
Oh boy. Okay.
All right.
If you could go back in time and tell yourself something when you were 16, what would you tell yourself?
No.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Okay.
It's gonna leave a mark.
Yeah, there it is. It's gonna leave a mark. And if you could pick someone to play you in a movie, who would you pick?
So I'm getting older now. It would have to be Michael B. Jordan.
All right.
There we go.
Creed.
Creed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There it is.
Had to put a little darker makeup on him, but you know, he can make it work.
Yeah. Pastor Ted Winsley.
Yes.
Where can we find you?
You can find us, first of all, physically at 333 Preston Avenue. Our church of 2 years is called the Family Church, which in the last 4 or 5 months, we bought the Coliseum. So the entire building.
The whole thing?
The whole thing. Yes. God's awesome. So 333 Preston Avenue, our services are 8:45 and 11 a.m. on Sundays. We have a midweek service. We call it Q&A Wednesday from 7 to 8:30. Where at the end of the message, we stop, pull out chairs, and we answer questions from social media and the audience. And you can find us on Facebook, The Family Church NJ, or Twitter, The Family Church New Jersey, or www.thefamilychurchnj.com.
Perfect stuff. Pastor Ted Winsley, he is available for speaking engagements. Look him up. Great guy. Thanks for all the work with the Eagles.
No problem.
All right. All the best.
Take care, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Drive safe.